Now, let's go to Caoimhe O'Neill, Liverpool writer with The Athletic. Morning, Caoimhe.
Morning.
So it was pretty straightforward for Liverpool last night, a chance for Jurgen Klopp to rest and rotate. I presume there's science behind it when he is resting and rotating, because in a situation last night, Liverpool fans look at that team and they go, why is Mo Salah playing?
Yeah, I think, you know what, sometimes you look at it, don't you, and wonder why Mo Salah's on a pitch in the middle of Jutland. But I think, you know, it comes from Mo Salah, and that first minute he proved why he wanted to be there, and that's to score goals. And I don't think that can necessarily be a bad thing. You know, he didn't come away from it injured, which would have been, I think, more of a worry, wouldn't it? He got his goal in the first, I think it was 50-odd seconds, and then, you know, it was quite a difficult game with obviously the much changed lineup for Liverpool, and a great night for some young lads. Obviously, Kelleher, brilliant in goal again. Leighton Clarkson gets his chance in the midfield. Reece Williams again showed how confident he is at the back. And obviously another big night for Trent Alexander-Arnold, how many he's had now. But he obviously captained Liverpool, which is, you know, a massive achievement for such a young lad.
He's back. It looks as though he's getting back to full fitness. Given the armband last night, the type of personality that Alexander-Arnold is, when Jordan Henderson eventually finishes up, is Alexander-Arnold the obvious choice to take over as captain?
I mean, it's got a bit of a sort of Steven Gerrard vibe to it, hasn't it, almost? You kind of, you know, you saw him with the armband last night and you did feel maybe, you know, can he be the Steven Gerrard type, where obviously Houllier gave Gerrard the captain's armband over Hippier, which was, you know, he was very young when that happened. You kind of do feel maybe, obviously, Alexander-Arnold, for what he's achieved at the club, he's obviously the world's best right back. He's proved that for the past couple of seasons. You know, he's a Champions League winner, a Premier League winner, the youngest player to appear in back-to-back Champions League finals. You know, there's so many records he already holds, but to hold that captain's armband and wear it round his arm for every game would be just a massive honour to himself, his family. You know, it's something he's obviously dreamed of. He's mentioned in interviews in the past, you know, that's what he's working towards. And I think, obviously, you know, he's achieved so much. So, you know, what can his goals be? They've obviously got to be massive still, but I think captain in Liverpool would be the next thing for him. Obviously, Jordan Henderson's doing a fantastic job there. Obviously, you've got James Milner as well as vice captain. But obviously these players are getting older, so, you know, whether Klopp makes a decision in the future. The players actually voted, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, on who to be the sort of third and fourth choice captains, and they picked Gini Wijnaldum and Virgil van Dijk, the two Dutch lads. So, you know, that'll be interesting. So Alexander-Arnold technically, you know, is maybe fifth in choice, you would think. But obviously last night none of those players were playing, and Alexander-Arnold captained the team. So you would think, you know, it's sort of a natural next step, sort of succession for Alexander-Arnold one day, and, you know, it'll be great to see.
He has just turned 22, so it is very early, but you look at the progression of Jordan Henderson as Liverpool captain to the footage that I'm sure people have seen recently, when, because the crowds aren't in, you can hear every word he says and his motivation on the pitch. Alexander-Arnold as a personality at the moment, is he a quiet, shy guy, or do you see already that sort of leadership there, that actually, when you're watching the games without the fans being in, he's somebody actually you'd notice trying to drive his teammates forward?
I mean, them passes drive them forward anyway, don't they? I mean, is there a better pass across it from that range in Wales football right now? I'm not too sure. You know, he returned from fitness to fitness against Wolves, and as soon as he come on, he just, you know, pinged the pass right on the money, didn't he? Which obviously was an own goal in the end, but Salah and Mane were queuing up to get on the end of it. It was pinpoint perfect, and I think, you know, on the pitch he leads by example, which is the best way I think a leader can lead, isn't it? Just by performance and, you know, energy. And Liverpool have got that. I mean, obviously on the other side of the pitch, and Andy Robertson, who's obviously the captain of Scotland. I just think it's all over the pitch, and obviously Alexander-Arnold, for such a young lad, because, you know, we speak about him as though he's this sort of 25, 26-year-old player. He's just turned 22. You know, he's a young lad still, and you know, the confidence he has is immeasurable. You know, and the skill as well.
Yeah, on the skill, because I know Tommy, you want to come in and Caoimhin Kelleher, but just on. He's obviously, as you say, arguably the best right back in the world. When he first emerged, there was a sense that eventually he might develop into a central midfielder, that was the long-term plan. Is that still a possibility for Alexander-Arnold, or has he just proven to be so good and so influential, actually, from that position at right back? They don't need him in midfield anymore. He can do more damage, arguably, from where he is on the pitch right now.
Yeah, I think that question about Alexander-Arnold has been a sort of constant one throughout his career. Just because of his passing range and his ability on the ball. Everyone's always thought the natural sort of next step, along with the captain's armband, would be to go into the midfield. But I don't necessarily think, at one time I would have thought maybe, that's a great idea to put him into the midfield. But he's the best right back in the world, so why would you move someone out of that position and put them in another position? I'm sure, Liverpool have had a lot of injuries of late, as we know. I'm sure if something happened, it'd be great to sort of see him in a one-off game in the midfield and see how he could cut it. I'm sure he'd be absolutely fine. But when you've got someone of that ability on the right-hand side of the pitch, and, Liverpool's style of play is to, bring those full-backs forward, and that's how they get so much joy. Why would you want to miss out on that to put Alexander-Arnold in another position? Now, I'm not saying, as his career goes on, he won't develop into a midfielder, but it just feels like, when you've got something good, you just hold on to it.
Caoimhin Kelleher's third starting role last night. How impressed have you been by him? Like, as Irish fans, we've a lot of young lads that are on the brink of breaking through at the minute. A lot of potential, but Kelleher is probably, alongside a few others, one of the first that's getting real minutes in the Premier League. So how have you seen him over the last couple of weeks?
I think the most exciting thing about Kelleher is he's been training with the world's best goalkeeper in Alisson for a while now. He's a young player who's been at training with the first team a lot, for a long time. So he's been learning and developing in that way. Everything always coming out the club from him, of his coaches, from John Achterberg and the likes, has always been positive. They've always been, really positive about him, and always said that he's a great goalkeeper, and fans haven't really been able to see that. Obviously, if you watch academy games, you'll be able to see. I've seen quite a bit of him and always been impressed by, I think mainly that he can pass with both feet. He can hit the ball with both feet, which is, a quality you search for in a goalkeeper. And to think he come to goalkeeping so late, I think he was 14. I think we had a piece on the site, which sort of went, back to his childhood in Cork and, his football there, which was a really interesting read just on the background of everything. And then obviously, it's this lad from Cork starting in Liverpool games and with Alisson out. And, there was maybe a worry pre-match before he started in the first game, but he's quickly a keeper who, I think this is the best quality a keeper can have, is that you, as a fan, you don't watch and you're not concerned or worried. And I think that's almost an Alisson trait, isn't it? We get to not almost watch the goalkeeper because he's so good. We don't need to watch him. We just know he's there. And Kelleher has that vibe about him, which I think, is really positive. But, I think he's been outstanding, especially getting the 2 clean sheets early on there against Wolves and Ajax. But obviously, it would have been lovely for him to get it last night. And he made some great saves again, just to sort of show his quality and his capabilities. And he's just, like, as I said there, he's just not a worry. As he's, you put him in and he's brilliant. And this is a player, we have to remember, who his last game for Liverpool's under-23s, he shipped 7 goals to Man City, and then he comes in on the biggest stage of all, the Premier League, the Champions League, and performs in this way. I think, he might have even surprised, he probably won't have surprised his goalkeeping coaches. They work with him every day, they know his qualities, but I mean, he has surprised a lot of people. But he's backing up these performances now, and he's now Liverpool's unrivaled number 2, definitely, to Alisson. He's sort of overtaken Adrian, who, you do have more of a concern when he plays because he's less sort of technically gifted. He's a great shot stopper from close range, and I just think, you Irish should be very excited. I think, won't be long before he's maybe getting that first choice over Randolph for the national team, maybe.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise at all, particularly with Darren Randolph not playing either at the moment for West Ham. When is Alisson due back?
I think he should be back this weekend, I'd assume. I think he posted something himself the other day to say sort of not far away. And, you know, when he first sort of picked up the sort of slight strain, it was sort of touted that he'd be back for the Fulham game at the weekend. So, you know, Liverpool fans will be hoping for that. But then again, it's not a massive worry now. Usually in between, you know, when a player's injured, in between games, like as journalists, more so my colleague James Pearce will have it, but it's people just saying, when's Alisson back? When's Alisson back? Now, I think the highest compliment we can pay to Kelleher is not a lot of people are asking, because, you know, they know, actually, you know what, we've got a solid number 2 here and it's not a worry.
All right, Caoimhe O'Neill, great stuff as always. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Cheers, Caoimhe.